हेलो दोस्तों, वेलकम बैक टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल। फ्रेंड्स, आज के इस वीडियो का जो टॉपिक है वो बेसिकली मेरे को खुद को आज जो मैं इन्फॉर्मेशन बेसिकली इस वीडियो में प्रोवाइड करने वाला हूँ या करवाने वाला हूँ, टू बी इवन मोर फ्रैंक, तो वो वाली जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है वो मुझे खुद को कलेक्ट करनी थी। एक्चुअली आई वाज लुकिंग फॉर कि बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे बीटेक के बाद लाइक टीयर 1 कॉलेजेस से भी हैं, वो एमबीए के लिए जाते हैं। एंड एमबीए लाइक आईएम्स होते हैं इसके अंदर, या आप गेट वगैरह के भी एग्जाम्स देते हो। तो आई वाज क्यूरियस अबाउट कि अच्छा, ये फर्दर एजुकेशन लाइक पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन में आपके पास क्या क्या ऑप्शंस होते हैं। So I was looking for people like whom I can ask from. So the guest of our today's video, like Kaushik sir, I met him, and he has done. He is completing his MBA from IIM Calcutta, and he had a percentile of around 99.93 when he gave his CAT exam. So I thought that he would be a better person to invite, and so that he can provide us with the information like why MBA and why not anything else, and why even do we need it, like all these things like he's doing. So he might give you a better insight. Of course, we all have some preconceived notions about like why a particular person is doing MBA and all, but it's better to ask somebody who is just into it. And also, if by asking him we will get some better insights only. So therefore I thought that why not share it with you also, guys, so that you can also get some better insights, friends. So I've got some new ideas also, that we can do a lot more videos related to this stuff, like what can we do in the further education. So I hope, friends, that these videos will be of great help to you also. So if you haven't subscribed my channel yet, please do subscribe, friends. या बहुत सारे लोग वीडियोस देखते हैं बट उसका एक बहुत ही छोटा सा पोर्शन सब्सक्राइब करता है। ये सारे वीडियोस आपके लिए काफी हेल्पफुल होंगे, ताकि आपके पास एक नोटिफिकेशन भी आ जाए। और ऐसी वीडियोस को मैं और लाने की कोशिश करूंगा। सपोज फर्दर एजुकेशन, मतलब आपकी डिस्टेंट लैंड्स पे कैसे हो सकते हैं, इंडिया में अगर कंपटीशन हमें ज्यादा फेस करना पड़ता है तो क्या है वो एक बेटर ऑप्शन होते हैं। तो इस सब के बारे में शायद एक इन्फॉर्मेशन आपके लिए काफी यूजफुल हो सकती है। तो दोस्तों, अगर आपने चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं करा तो उसको पहले कर लो। और चलिए अब अपने गेस्ट के पास चलते हैं, हमारे कौशिक सर से, आज जिनसे हमने टाइम लिया है, तो उनसे कुछ आज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हम बातें करते हैं। सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड। So hello Kaushik sir, and first of all thanks to you for joining me over here in my video. Basically today's
Thanks,
video,
Aksham.
uh, I'm not I'm more interested in getting knowledge for myself rather than just getting knowledge for the video and making stuff for the video, because this is the question of
Yeah.
every undergraduate student, like what they will be further doing in their life. And I don't think that a better person can be you to learn about MBA, who scored 99.3%, 99.93 percentile, and is pursuing MBA from IIM Calcutta. So
Yeah.
before starting with the questions which I have prepared in this notebook, I just want to ask you that give a short intro about yourself, like where do you hail from and what was your undergraduate studies and all stuff like that.
Sure, sure. So originally I'm from Chennai, but I've always lived in Mumbai and Delhi. I went to BITS Pilani from 2014 to 18, Pilani campus.
Okay.
After that, I worked for 1 year in an American e-commerce firm called Etsy,
Hmm.
uh, where I handled seller growth. Enjoyed my time there. Then I did that for 1 year and then went for my MBA at IIM Calcutta. So I'm the 2019 to 21 batch at IIM Calcutta. I just graduated last month, and yeah.
So if you have to explain it to a layman person, like what's an MBA? Like we have in BTech, like we have computer science, electronics. So what kind of stuff like is there in MBA? Like what all like do you have streams of stuff like that in MBA also?
Yeah, so the way the Indian MBA is structured is that the first year is what you call the compulsory courses, and these are generally foundation fundamental courses and
Okay.
cover strategy, economics, marketing, finance, accounting. You could almost say it's one subject from each stream, and you get a sense of everything, right? Very similar to the first year that you had at BITS.
Yeah.
And the second year is where you build your specialization. You choose electives and you sort of major and minor in one of these streams that I spoke about. So for example, I majored in economics and minored in marketing, and you have a host of subjects that you can choose from. There's a bidding pattern that goes on, and I'm Calcutta. I don't know how it goes on in other colleges, but you have a limited number of points, and you select the courses that you want to. You select the teachers that you want to study under,
Yes. Yes.
and that's how it goes. So the course content again covers basics of business, right? It prepares you to typically enter the corporate world. I think 90%, 95% of people who come to top IIMs end up not pursuing academia or other streams apart from going and working for companies.
Correct.
So I think it prepares you for that. It teaches you a little bit of marketing, a little bit of accounting and finance, and yeah, problem solving in general.
So is it also like the same like when we take admission in for BTech courses, we are generally basically depending upon our ranks or our marks in BitStat also, we are given the streams like if you are scoring really high, so in today's world we get computer science, then electronics, and further
Yeah,
divisions like that. So it does the same holds
yeah.
for MBA also, like
So
of
we don't have
yeah.
streams per se in the IIMs as far as I know. There are
Okay,
few
okay.
colleges that do have specializations. For example, XLRI, to the best of my knowledge, has
Yes,
two
yes.
courses. One is one for HR and one for business management.
Okay,
And I think a couple of other local colleges too have streams. Like I know TIS, I know Narsi Monji has one, but I'm not too sure of those, right? But at least IIM ABC and Lucknow, I'm quite sure of it, that they don't have specializations as such. It's a general degree that you get. And of course,
okay.
as I told you, how you can major
Yes,
in
yes,
certain
yes.
subjects in your
Definitely.
second year.
Correct.
But a degree still remains MBA, and
Hmm.
the whole batch enters on the same
Yes.
stand.
Okay. So one important question which arises in my mind, like why students pursue MBA? Like it's I don't feel like it's just for the monetary benefits that they can reap out of it, because not only
Right.
students from tier 3 colleges but also students from tier 1 colleges like pursuing branches like the Phoenix branches also CS in electronics, they
Hmm.
pursue MBA in the later stages of their life. So what's the actual
Yeah.
benefit of doing MBA?
Sure. I think there are a host of factors that come together and make you want to do an MBA, right? It'd be foolish to ignore the monetary aspects because
Yeah.
you're paying a hefty fee. I think I paid close to 20 to 23 lakhs, and the lost opportunity cost of being in the workforce and earning a salary is also
Correct.
gone.
Correct.
So it better be worth it, right? So of course the monetary aspect is attractive. I mean, you almost double or triple your pre-MBA salary, and that's not to generalize. There are a few exceptions to that, but mostly this is the case, right? But apart from monetary compensation itself, you get a career push. I think you skip, I mean, without an MBA, you probably take 2 or 3 more years to get where an MBA gets you in terms of position, in terms of the hierarchy that you enter the workforce back after an MBA. And I think at the core of it, the MBA is designed to upskill you, right?
Hmm.
Most of us have gone to IITs or bits. People
Correct.
like us have done a science degree. We don't have a lot of insight into how businesses work. What are the metrics that you measure productivity on? How do you read a balance sheet? And these are, I think, essential skills to actually work in business. So I think what an MBA degree does very well, I think the first year is designed very well, at least in IIM Calcutta, where you get a sense of almost everything. We studied law, we studied HR. I mean, by law, I meant
Correct.
business law. You also study about a lot on microeconomics, macroeconomics. You study about the economic history of India. So I think it's a finishing school of sort. You sort of emerge as a person who knows little of a lot of things, which is, I think, being a generalist is what the market demands today. So I think an MBA is a very good degree if you want to pursue something in the managerial line of careers.
And adding to that, it's just my point of view. Like a lot of students might just start doing BTech in like whatever branches they get. Like if they scored well, they take
Yeah,
up the computer science because a lot of people are doing that. But later on, they might realize that they are not into it and they are more inclined toward the kind of business study. So that might also be the another option for switching the aspects in which you are going to work in future, isn't it?
yeah, sure, sure. I think we as a society go with what the herd asks
Heard,
us to do, right?
correct, correct.
We've never thought of what is my interest, and of course that's changing gradually.
Yeah,
But a major chunk of the middle class in India thinks of careers that way. They just
correct,
go with what most prevalent. That's why you see so many engineering colleges in the first place without so many jobs in engineering.
correct.
So I think so decision making is difficult when you're 18 and you're entering undergrad. I think it's slightly more easier, and you
Easy.
sort of have a sense of who you are as a person when you're 22, 23. So I think that's a good time to put a finger down on the map and say that this is what I am. I'm good at these things. I'm probably not a good coder, but I'm good at
Correct,
probably business
correct.
development over here. So I think any most of the career decisions that I've seen my friends take when they were 22, 23 years old were much more sensible than the ones they took at 18, right? That's, I think, natural to it's very
That's
predictable.
absolutely correct.
So I think a lot of people probably went into computer science, probably had very good jobs too as
Yeah,
software developers, but then decided that in the long term, I don't want to be doing this, and I don't see myself, in tech 10 years down the line. They decided to pivot their careers, and now are probably in one of the top consulting firms. I know a lot of people like those. So I think MBA is also a good the concept of MBA is very different from what it is in the West. In India, it's also used as a launch pad to a totally unrelated career. You
Yeah,
could have done, you could have coded, or you could have traded on the market for 2-3 years, and suddenly you're doing product management after MBA. So I think that's it also gives you a chance to reevaluate yourself and relaunch your career, which is, I think, great, right? I think what we as a society should have done at 18 years, we end up doing it when we're 22, 23, and I think that's a good second chance for us to really evaluate ourselves.
exactly. In fact, a lot of my friends, like they were not getting the elite branches in the various IITs, but because of the exposure they might have got at IIT Bombay, Delhi, they chose that, and they thought that if nothing works out over there, then they can always have an option of preparing for CAT and then doing MBA, and
Sure.
so that they can have an exposure, also a better understanding of how the world works, isn't it? But if I ask
Sure.
you, Kaushik sir, that whom will you refer? Like, what particular students should think about CAT, and what particular students should not think about CAT? Can you answer that?
I think, see, once you've decided that you want to pursue a career in business management, right,
Yes,
and not go for your core fields or an IT,
correct.
uh, you just have a couple of decisions to make. One is, do you want to pursue your MBA in India or abroad? Which I think relates to the question. It hinges on the fact whether you want to settle abroad or do you want to settle in India. Some people are bullish on India; they want to
Yes,
settle down here, and for them, I think it's a no-brainer. You just do it at one of the top IIMs or ISB or XLRI, and it just sets you up for life. I mean, not for everybody, but it gives you a better chance of surviving this already overcrowded market. uh, I think anybody who wants to do that should do an MBA, right? Of course, things are changing. People are getting into roles without an MBA too.
hmm,
Good.
correct.
That's the way we should progress towards. But I think it's too early to say that MBA is a useless degree, right? MBA is as useful as you want it to be, and I think it's a good launch pad into getting into business. So anybody who is inclined towards knowing how business functions, wants to hold managerial positions, and aspires to be VP or SVP or CEO of a company should definitely do an MBA.
One more thing I want to ask, like, there's in the market, there's a lot of saying that if you had to do MBA, then why you pursued this BTech degree? So is it really a relevant statement, or is it just a foolish statement? Like, people don't know the importance of a BTech degree, in this, or what's your take on this? That is it really helpful or worthful to have a BTech degree, or is it just you think that okay, I took a decision of doing BTech, but it was not worth it because I had to do MBA at a later point of life?
It's never a foolish thing to repivot your career, okay? And
Yeah,
also, it would be stretched to say that this question itself is unfair. It's a fair question to ask, hey, why do you keep changing your streams? But okay, as long as a person has a decent motivation to change their careers, it's okay. People do their MBA and then go for IAS.
correct.
People do their MBA and then realize they want to go to academia, do a PhD, and then go on to join as professors. And it's totally cool, right? No, who's to say what to do and what not to do? It's a personal choice. But I wouldn't say that recruiters, generally employers, and also your IM interviews end up asking you this question, right? Why MBA after business degree? Why not pursue what you studied for 4 years and invested lakhs of rupees and make that worth it? But I think as long as you have a good answer to that, as long as you yourself know why you're motivated to pursue MBA, it's okay, right? I know brilliant people who didn't want to do engineering, got into
Correct.
IIT Delhi or Bombay. It would be unfair to force them into staying within chemical engineering just because you made a decision
Correct.
like 7 8 years back.
Absolutely. Makes
It's okay.
sense. So, what would you suggest to a class 12th student, like whether
Mhm.
he should really focus on doing this, or like even we should come to a class 10 standard, like when you have to choose the streams, like he's particular certain that yeah, I'm want to do something in the business field, and like MBA, it's something which appeals to him. But of course, we know that the exposure he might get at the IITs and all, he might not be able to get at the graduate level commerce colleges. So, what do you have to say for the class 10th or class 12th students?
See, it's better not to take decisions related to MBA while you're in grade 12, right? It's
Correct.
too early to, even you don't even understand yourself. You
Yeah.
don't know what you're good at. You don't know where you stand in the competition. It's
Correct.
just better to pursue what you were anyway going to pursue, regardless of whether you want to do an MBA later or not. I think the IIMs are very accommodative of diverse undergraduate streams. You have people from dentistry getting into IIMs. You have people who were lawyers earlier getting into IIMs. People
Okay,
from the army end up joining IIMs. So that's okay. So I think in 11th, 12th, you should just stick to what you were anyway going to do. If you want to study science, go ahead with it. If you want to study statistics, psychology, I think all of these streams are useful somewhere or the other when you actually are in a corporate environment. And even if it's not useful, right, you just rightly mentioned about how the crowd at certain colleges itself leads to personality development. I think
correct.
bits is a fine example for that,
Yeah,
right? I don't remember a line of what I studied at bits, but the friends I made, the people I moved with,
correct.
people that I looked up to, all of those have a bearing on how I think and how my personality is shaped up. So I
Definitely.
think I think you shouldn't think of MBA before your third year.
Before, yeah.
Just to go with the flow.
Yeah, this was my next question. Like how
Hmm.
later in your when you were pursuing a BTech degree, you realized that okay, CAT should be my next option and I should start preparing for it.
So mine was a very different journey, right? I hadn't studied at bits at all. My career prospects were very bleak. It
Okay.
was sometime around the third year of my four-year degree that I realized that I'm going to be doomed if I don't pull up my socks. Uh, so that's when I was looking for ways out of my doomed mediocrity, if I can say that. So one of the clear options was giving CAT. Largely, CAT as an exam is indifferent towards your past performance and just rewards aptitude, right? It doesn't say, hey, you have a 6 point CGPA, don't give CAT. Of course, few IIMs say that. Few
Yeah.
IIMs say that you are a 6 point, you don't come to us. Ahmedabad, Bangalore being the first two to say that. But I think that was a good option to get out of it. I decided in my third year that this is what I want to do, not because I had a strong inclination towards business and all of that, right? I wouldn't say that. I just thought of it as a quick way to get my career
Get my
sorted,
career sorted.
to earn a decent amount of money, which I wasn't probably going to do if I didn't have an MBA, right? So it was a last minute a ditch move to just save my career and try doing an MBA. And it's high stakes, high risk, high reward. I put in few months of CAT prep, and that saved me in the long run. So I think that's how I went about it. But obviously, this is not the ideal way to think about a business degree. Many people who are very sorted from the beginning took care to evaluate this decision very closely, and they knew probably from the beginning, first or second year, that this is what I want to do, and they prepared themselves, they studied, they maintained a high CGPA in line with what the requirements of a MBA degree would be. And those people are doing really well, right? They are in the Harvards and Whartons of the world. I am Ahmedabads and Bangalore's of the world. So
Correct. So, if I want to ask you, like, you had a phenomenal percentile of 99.93, and you are saying that you started from the third year. So, firstly, I want to ask you that how were you as a student general, like in studies? Were you the brightest of the minds? Like, of course, you came to the tier one college, but still, would like to ask you that among in that college also, were you the brightest? Like you did it in the 2 years, like for BTech degree, like for preparation of BitSat and IIT, we have mega structures of coaching institutes on which we throw lakhs of rupees and then we get prepared, and still the competition is sky high. So how is it compared when how is CAT competition in comparison to the competition of JEE NEET and BitSat, and how did you prepare for
sure,
that?
a great question. Yeah. So basically, see, I wasn't close to being bright. Okay, I was
Okay,
never the
okay,
brightest kid. I always had my parents tell me that I'm very bright, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I never scored good marks. I never got the stream of my choice.
okay.
Even within bits, I was one of the poor students. But to say that I was dumb would also be
Yeah,
unfair, right? I had basic common sense. So I didn't prepare for 2 years. Yeah, let me just tell you, I made that decision in third year to attempt CAD, but I started preparing in the beginning of fourth year. I think gave 6 months of solid prep.
okay,
I didn't have a lot of things to do in final year, so I gave, I think, 5-6 hours a day easily. And the funny part is that I didn't make it in the first try, right?
okay,
And which brings me to the point that I want to make about CAT. CAT is heavily based on luck, right? There's a huge random noise variable to how you perform in CAT. I've seen very smart people not do well at CAT. I've seen hard work not pay off in CAT. But I think a good way to go about CAT is to keep giving it, and it'll just work out sometimes. So just my journey is that first time in CAT, I didn't score a good percentile to get calls from ABC. And those are the only colleges that I applied to. And the second time in cat, which when I actually made it and got 99.93, the funny part is that I didn't study for it the second time. So I just went like that. I paid the cat fee. So my flatmate in Gurgaon just, I owe my IIM Calcutta admit to him. He just said, just don't waste money. It's a Sunday, just go there. And I think I attribute my doing well in cat the second time to the fact that I was very chilled out about it. I just said, okay, I took few educated, calculated risks, and those paid off, right? A few guesses here and there, and that got me to that percentile. So a couple of things about cat is one of the easiest exams. It's nothing compared to JEE. It doesn't demand hard work of you. What it demands is a little bit of aptitude and a lot in terms of attitude. You just go chilled out, you have confidence in yourself, you make a few guesses here and there, you get calculations right, you don't give into pressure, and you'll just make it. And it's so much random noise, right? So many brilliant people who score 100 percentile once, 92 the other time. It's just not predictable, right? And
Okay.
it's because of how crowded it is, right? 2.5 lakh people give it, and only few people. I think there are 480 seats in IIM Calcutta, a little less in Ahmedabad, Bangalore. Selection ratios are crazy, right? I mean, Ivy Leagues have better selection rates.
Yeah.
So because India, there's a lot of competition, which also means that you make one mistake out of the 100 questions that you have in CAT. I think the pattern has changed. Back then it was 100 questions. You make one small mistake and you back by 100, 200 ranks,
Correct.
which is not fair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So give yourself at least 2-3 years to crack CAT. It might happen in the first round, it might happen in the third round, and if it doesn't happen, you have ISB, and if it still doesn't happen, it's not the end of the day, right?
Correct. So basically, after listening to you, I can figure out one thing, that even a person who has not maybe performed well in JEE and all that, he should not consider his image as being average. Like if he works hard, then definitely there's always a second option of CAT, which I don't think that it's, after listening to you, it's as competitive as compared to JEE NEET, and a solid preparation would seriously get you there. And I think that you're a live example of that point, isn't it?
Of course. I'm not saying it's not competitive. It's very
Yeah.
competitive.
Yeah.
It also gives a second chance to many people who didn't do well in probably their 12th grade or in their undergrad.
Correct. Correct.
Of course, there's always a bias among IIMs and recruiters at IIMs towards people who have a high undergrad score. So
Okay.
this is not me saying that don't
Yeah.
study in undergrad. I wish I had studied in undergrad and I could have made it to a lot of companies that I wanted to get placed in, right?
Okay.
So it's that CGPA sticks with you for a while. But
Okay.
my sense of saying that it's easier is because the randomness can work in your favor too. I'm not too
Yes.
sure if I am actually better than 99.93 percentage of candidates, but I still got that percentile. So little bit of luck, right time, right place, little bit of aptitude, lot of attitude.
Correct.
So that's how it works.
It's really rare to see people who really make it and then say that there was a luck factor. But that's really nice of you to even to
No,
tell
there
the,
is, yeah, a lot of everybody agrees to it.
yeah.
There is a luck factor.
So thank you, Kaushik sir, for telling us all about this,
Sure.
and those viewers also might have got some seriously valuable insights, like what they should do and plan accordingly. And of course, as I told that if you are provided with a second chance, like there's always a second option. So don't be demoralized if this is your first or second year, like you,
Of
if
course.
you didn't made it to the top colleges. So there are always many options, and whenever you decide to work hard, then you will definitely land up at a place really very beautiful. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us over, and this would be a seriously full conversation for a lot of aspirants over here. So thank you,
I
guys.
liked it too, Sachin. Thanks for having me.
Okay.